Well, good afternoon, everybody. How y'all doing? Pretty good here, and welcome to the channel. Hey, today I want to get on here and talk a little about the 2020 Tacoma, specifically nailing down what you're going to get with the 2020 that you can't get now. In other words, why should you even buy a 2020? So, I got a little list of stuff here, and again, we're going to talk about how is the 2020 Tacoma different from the other ones out there. And in this, refreshed is the key word here. It's not remodeled, it's not remanufactured, it's not really a new model, it's a refreshed model. So we start off, and we're going to use that term, it has a refreshed exterior appearance. So what does that mean? What are you going to get with it? Well, it has a redesigned front grille. Now, I can't wait to see ultimately in the end if it's just one grille across the board or if there's going to be little differences. You know, sometimes the manufacturer will tweak the grille a little bit for different trim levels. For instance, the TRD Pro grille. I don't know that they're going to do that, but I can't wait to see what it is. Hopefully, it's blacked out and there's not a ton of chrome left in it. You know, maybe there'll even be a little bit of a blackout option. I don't know. Next is a new headlight design. So they're changing the headlights, going to look a little bit different on the front, a little bit different from the previous iterations, if you will, of the Toyota Tacoma. Now, you can also get LED headlights, and I stress, you can get them, all right? That's going to be a step up in price to go ahead and get, or in trim level, I should say, to get those LED headlights. That means you're going to pay more money. Not really a big surprise there, but that's the way it's going to be. Redesigned taillights. Supposedly, they're going to blend in a little bit better with the design, with the rest of the truck. That'll be interesting to see. I have some TRD Pro taillights that I had put in my 2018. So I'll be curious to see if I don't like what they put on the 2020, whether or not those previous version, if you will, TRD Pro taillights will fit in the new 2020. Going to be interesting to see. Next up is our safety features. Now, this really only applies to off-roading because all of the other safety features they have in the truck or are going to have in the truck already exist. For instance, the cross-traffic monitoring, the beeping you get when you back into something, the TSS system, the dreaded TSS system, that's all still going to be there. But they have what is now known as a multi-terrain video display. The purpose of that is if you're an off-roader, so you can see underneath the truck, right? You can see if there are rocks or logs or spouses, I don't know, something under the truck that you wouldn't necessarily want to run over. That should be pretty cool, actually. I'll be interested to see how that works. Next up are multimedia upgrades. Multimedia upgrades. Right now, there is a standard 7-inch touchscreen, or there's going to be, rather, a standard 7-inch touchscreen display, it's a lot of words, in the 2020. It's going to be standard across the board. What was in there before standard was the 6.1. Now, there's also going to be available an 8-inch high-resolution screen. Again, I'm sure that this is going to be dependent upon the trim level that you get. It's not going to be standard across the board, and if you want it, that is the 8-inch high-resolution display, you're going to pay more money for it. Just the way it is. Let's see. Next up is what they're calling upgraded, again, upgraded, not refreshed, interior comfort. They are changing the seat design. You know, that old pattern that's been around in the Tacoma for like 350 years, that's going to be changing to something else. It's going to be a heck of a lot more plain, I think. So for those of you out there who really don't like that current, well, what do you want to say, the lines and stuff, the design that they have right now, that's going to be going away. But that doesn't really have anything to do with comfort, I guess. Comfort is going to be their new two-way lumbar power adjustable seat. Now, I've heard and seen that that's a 10-way adjustable seat. I don't know how many different ways, you can go, but it's going to be interesting to see how that works with what little space there is inside the Tacoma anyway. I mean, they're not lowering or changing the cabin height or anything like that. So I can't imagine you're going to have a ton of wiggle room in there with this new adjustable seat. Should be able, though, and in my case, I can't wait to see this, to level out the seat. I really hope they're taking care of that. Otherwise, for me, it's going to be back to the spacer mod to raise the back of that seat up to get a different seating angle. And while I'm talking about that, a lot of people, you get a lot of cracks and jokes or stuff, hey, you should just get a child seat, a booster seat, and put in there. They obviously didn't watch the video or just don't understand the concept. The idea is not that you can't see out of the truck because you're 2 feet tall. The idea is that you don't like to sit in an angle in the truck. You want it a little more level. At least that's my angle. It does enable you to see better over the hood, but I didn't really have a problem doing that anyway. So just to clear that up a little bit. So there is going to be the power adjustable seat with a 2-way lumbar. And I assume that lumbar is going to be probably your lower and upper back. I'm not sure exactly the positioning of that, but I can't imagine it's going to be any kind of side bolstering, not in a Tacoma. We'll see. Now, a couple of things to note, and this is regarding the Powertrain. It still comes standard, with the 2.7 liter engine. Now, that engine is, 159 horses. It's the same as before, with 180 pound-feet of torque, same as before. Or you can step up, and I don't know why anybody wouldn't do this. That 2.7 liter motor is a 4-cylinder engine. I don't know why you'd get a 4-cylinder engine in a truck. I don't know. But you can step up to the 6-cylinder, and this is a V6, and it is a 3.5 liter, 278 horsepower with 265 pound-feet of torque. Now, what's really too bad here is that they didn't just bump it up to, say, 300 or maybe 302. Wouldn't it be cool to say, I've got a Tacoma 302? Going back to the old 302 motors. That would be pretty cool. But they didn't. They left it the same. Now, there are tunes out there that I keep hearing about, things that you can do to bump that horsepower up. I mean, we don't have far to go, right? 22 horses and we hit 300. That's all I want. 22 horses. Would you really be able to tell? Yeah, I think you would. A lot of these ads you see, like for cold air intakes, for example, which, by the way, the Tacoma really does have a cold air intake stock from the factory. But anyway, these aftermarkets, they'll say that they're going to bump your horsepower 5, 10, something like that. Well, I got news for you. You can't tell. If they bump your horsepower up 5 or 10 horses, you're not going to know the difference. But when you start to get into the 20 horsepower bump range, you are going to notice something. So it's too bad that they haven't done that. I think it would be really cool if they did. One more thing to note, also available, and this is available in the Pros now, like dust floating around out here. I think it's dust from the Sahara Desert, actually. Really. It's also going to still be available with the multi-terrain selector. Now, what does that mean? Well, if you get that, and I'm sure it's probably only available in the Pro version, but you can select rock and dirt. This is for off-roading. Loose rock, more like gravel or maybe bigger chunks of rock that's, not so huge. Mogul and rock. That's if you want to go into the Olympics. You ever watch the mogul skiing in the Olympics where they're going down those hills? It's really not for that, but it is for a much more aggressive trail. And lastly is mud and sand. That would be for beach people. That's kind of more what I would be interested in doing, I guess, is the mud and sand. Because we live near a beach here, and I got to get out there in it, and that would be really, really cool. So anyway, those are the changes. That's it. They're not huge changes. Again, it's not a complete remodel. they're not, or a remodel, they're not redoing the whole truck. They're not putting out a new model or a new version. I know a lot of marketing people out there now are saying that it's the new model Tacoma. And it's not a new model. It is truly a refresh. Anyway, leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think. That's a quick rundown. I am going to pick one up myself, not just for those things. I'm going completely different than what I have now. Now I have a Sport. I'm going to go, and it's a 2-wheel drive. I'm going to go to a 4-wheel drive, manual transmission, off-road. And maybe some of these features, we'll see. Depends on what the packages are. I'm not going to buy a ton of stuff that I don't want. As usual, appreciate you guys watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And we'll see you next time on the web. Have a great day. Bye.